Hello everybody and welcome to Sin City Living. My name is Jason. I'll be bringing you today's episode. As always, we want to thank all of our fans, our sponsors, our patrons. We appreciate all of your guys' support. Everyone that's bought us a cup of coffee, been greatly appreciated. We've had a rough couple of weeks here in the family, been out of work for a week and a half, coming up on 2 weeks thanks to our old friend COVID running through us. I don't want to take up a whole lot of time with the usual spiel, so all of you guys that are interested in what's going on with Sin City Living and what we plan on doing in the future with our live streams and upcoming events, please stick around to the end of the video or skip to the end of the video and watch. I will put most of that stuff in the ending spiel, and I will try and update it every week or two with more news. Otherwise, that being said, we're just going to go ahead and jump straight into today's video. So for today's video, we want to look at the most underrated strategy. We've talked about this one before, pressing it one unit, and why some players may play this, what some of the advantages and disadvantages are, strengths and weaknesses, so on and so forth. So how does it work? Well, like a lot of our strategies, it starts out with going across. So we'll include the point. Some players will, some players won't. And we'll say it's a $10 table. So we're starting at 64 across including. Thank you everybody for the coffees this month. It was very appreciated with the whole family out for COVID. We lost a lot of our income, so fortunately we didn't buy a whole lot of coffee this time around, but your support and help actually went towards our bills and towards our son's 6th birthday coming up. So thank you everybody. We appreciate it, and our son most definitely appreciates it. All right, so let's take a look. Once we go all the way across, now the press one unit, for the most part, I typically see this, because this is a highly underrated strategy, and it's one that I see often enough that it's obvious to us when it's being played, but not so often that it would be one of the top 5 strategies we see every single day. And typically when I see it, it's one of 2 types of players. It's players that are relatively new to the game, so they have just barely learned place bets and were just barely shown pressing. And typically when we teach someone about pressing, we'll show them by pressing it one unit at a time, because we want to encourage them to press, while at the same time we want them to see themselves collecting money. That helps them appreciate the bets because they're collecting money, and as the roll progresses, it helps them appreciate pressing it up because they're collecting more money. So it's kind of a win-win either way. So that's generally the first way people learn how to play. So when they're still relatively new, that tends to be how they continue playing, if they have a big enough bankroll. Some players don't like to go across. Other players are too scared to press at all. They just want to constantly collect. And then the second type of player that I see play this strategy are long-term players, players that have been playing for a long time. And most players that have been playing for a long time don't do this. They do a mid-press or a power press strategy. But I do know of a few players that do a pressing one unit type of strategy, and they've been playing for a long time. They actually have really big bankrolls. Typically when they play, they'll buy in with a bankroll big enough to see, say, 40.7 outs. And then they go with the press one unit and go from there. So why the press one unit? What are the advantages of the press one unit? Well, the primary advantage to the press one unit is the fact that you're collecting always, and you're collecting a decent little bit. I mean, in comparison, you've got a $12 bet here. You're going to collect $8. So you're collecting $4 shy of making your money back on the very first hit. The very first hit. Now the second hit on here, you're going to collect $15. So on this one number, you've already collected $23 on your $12 bet. What about the next hit? Well, the next hit, you collect $22. You're up to 30. So after 3 hits of this number, you have $45. 3 hits. Just 3 hits of the number, you've got $45. 3 hits on any one number, and you've got almost your entire cross back. Keep in mind that there's a good chance that a few other numbers have already hit as well. Basically, 4 or 5 rolls of the dice, you probably have your entire initial investment back. So the press one unit strategy has a couple of advantages. Advantage number 1 is that its break-even point is the maybe 3 to 4 minute rolls. So the very mid-level, kind of bottom end of the mid-level type of rolls is the break-even point. Advantage number 2 is even in the super short rolls, you're still collecting some of your money back, so very rarely are you actually in all 64 or 54 or 52, whatever you did. Very rarely are you losing all of that. Basically, it requires 0.7 outs for the most part, or point horn 7 out kind of thing. So most of the time, the player's collecting some of their money back. So they're not actually invested quite so much. Their average investment into each hand isn't as high as it looks. It's kind of like, I don't know if any of you guys have ever played, say, 100-hand video poker. I played a 100-hand video poker a while back where I want to say it was a quarter or a nickel machine. I think every spin was $25. Now, I put $100 in the machine, so you would look at it and go, well, you've only got 4 spins, really. Except that even on a bad hand, I usually made back anywhere between $18 to $23. So while it seemed like I had a $25 minimum bet, in reality, I was really only actually in every single spin, maybe $4 to $6 if I didn't hit anything decent. So that's kind of what the press one unit is. It looks like you have a big initial buy-in, but because you collect on almost every single roll, your functional buy-in, once the 7 out comes, tends to not be as high. So what are some of the disadvantages to pressing at 1 unit? Well, there's actually not too many. The biggest disadvantage to pressing at 1 unit is if you happen to catch that 45-minute roll, you're not going to be at table max on any numbers. You would have to catch it. Pressing at 1 unit at a time, you're pretty much never going to hit table max. Even if you caught a world record roll of, that beats the 168 rolls, I think it was, you're still not going to be at table max on any given number. You would need a number to hit 100 times, 200 times, 400 times in order to be at table max. So that's one of the disadvantages. The advantage, though, is this actually ramps up a lot faster than people think. People don't realize how quickly you can go from 12 to 30. Now, from there, some players still press at 1 unit, and the most I've ever seen someone take a $12 6 or 8, pressing at 1 unit at a time is $54. So that's actually not bad if you think about it. 12 to 18 to 24 to 30 to 36 to 42 to 48 to 54. 7 hits. 7 hits of their number. Now, a power presser would have been a table max at that point, and depending on the table max, would have either collected at $1,000 at the $1,200 mark, or would be at table max at the $2,400 mark. And I've obviously seen a lot more 6s or 8s roll than that. We just didn't have a press 1 unit player on the table at the time. So it ramps up pretty quick. But the thing about the pressing 1 unit also is, just like any other strategy where you're across, you can also pick your point where you decide to switch things up, where you decide to change it a little bit. Once you hit, say, $30, maybe you switch to a MidPress method. Let's take a look at this real fast. All right, so the player is $64 invested. Okay, so let's say the 8 hit once. So press at 1 unit. Next time it hits, press at 1 unit. Next time it hits, press at 1 unit. Now, that's 3 hits. 3 hits. And as we've already covered, you have $45 sitting in front of you. You're probably at your break-even point, maybe even winning some, because other numbers probably would have rolled. That's only 3 hits. So maybe the next hit, you switch to a MidPress method. You go from 30 to 42. Why not? You're already up, and you're collecting decent bits. Even at that point where you're mid-pressing, you're still collecting more than you've collected at any other point on this press. You're collecting in the green every single time, so why not? So the next time, maybe you press it up to 60. Next time around, you got a couple different ways you can go. You can go to 72, and you can collect that 60. Or you can go to 90 and collect the 40. Either one. But now you're at your MidPress method, and now your bets are ramping up a lot faster while you're still collecting. So the press 1 unit, very, very strong, especially in the shorter rolls. The 3 to 5 minute rolls, the press 1 unit, that's where it really shines because it helps you break even, not be as invested in the roll. And yet, when you start hitting that 4 or 5 minute mark, you're noticing that you're actually up money. And if you've got 1 or 2 numbers that have broken the statistical likelihoods and rolled more often than you would think they should, you're going to be collecting a fairly decent bit because things have really improved. So that's why some players will play the press 1 unit. That's some of the advantages, some of the disadvantages. I hope you guys find this interesting, illuminating, enlightening, or at the very least, just plain fun. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and we will catch you next time. Bye now. Okay, everybody, and as promised, all the usual blah blah that I try and do at the beginning of the video, we're going to go ahead and put near the end of the video. And here we go. So thank you, everybody, for your usual patronage. All of you that are patrons of ours, we very, very much appreciate it. Thank you, everybody who's been buying us a cup of coffee. Love to say it's going to coffee right now, but this month with the entire family out for COVID, it's honestly going to Bill's and probably the kid's birthday in a week. But we definitely appreciate it. We're going to continue working on these live streams. I know you guys have seen some of them popping up. Just got to figure out the look of it, and some of the audio is still giving me issues. But hopefully we'll be getting those live streams and the craps tournaments going as soon as possible. Really just going to depend on scheduling. My schedule changed, Amy's schedule changed, kids' school schedule is fun. So once we figure out exactly how all those schedules are going to work, we'll let everybody know. And otherwise, please continue emailing us with anything you would like to see videoed. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you guys. We'll catch you next time. Bye now.